My name is Jennifer Perone. I'm from the United States of America and I live in New Jersey. I have the gene mutation of the HNF4A. I am a teacher. I was an accountant before I was a teacher, but I find joy every single day of going to my job. You're kind of meant to be something and people are put where they're supposed to be. And the school that I work at, the grade that I teach, which is second grade, it is everything and more. And I can honestly say I love going to my job. Um, I Something about my personality is that I am very into sports. I'm super athletic my entire life. I played sports. I love watching sports. I'm a huge Philadelphia fan, Eagles, Phillies, you name it, even named my dog Philly, actually. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. That I was born early, and my mom had a very rough birth with me. She did have gestational diabetes, she had preeclampsia, and like I said, I was a preemie. And however, I was still 8 pounds 6 ounces as a preemie, so I was a big baby. I had many things wrong with me at birth. I was born blue. My sugars obviously were, I believe, a 20 at birth. I had a needle going through every layer of my ankle. I was going for any and every test. I was in the NICU for about 2 weeks. I was on dextrose. And they did release me after 2 weeks, and they kind of never looked back on it. And my mom always worried about that. So even at like my checkups, like growing up, she was like, well, what about her sugars? And, the doctors, that's how research has really developed so much since then. I am now 32 years old, and the way that research has changed is just a miracle, honestly. But after that, I was released home. My mom said I was a very cranky baby. I used to, as my mom said, I would guzzle my bottles very quickly. So whether the irritability was because it was my brain telling me I needed to eat and I was getting low, because back then, there was no diazoxide for myself. So that was my way. So after about, I think 6 or 7 months, my mom said my irritability kind of started to fade away, but I was still eating quite a bit. Once I found out that I did have the HNF4A gene mutation, I was very upset in the fact that I felt like I wish I could have done more to find this out prior to pregnancy to kind of help prepare my daughter for when she came into the world. Like I said, I did have sugar issues at birth, but I never thought it would really affect my daughter per se, especially because I had all the diagnostic testing done during pregnancy and before. So I had, the genetics done, nothing, was out of the ordinary. Everything was fine. My amniocentesis was absolutely perfect. There were really no concerns. So I was like, you know, Callie will be a big baby. So when when my diagnosis came, um, I was taken aback and I was very upset, and I wish there was something else I could have done ahead of time. I actually, I started seeing an endocrinologist. I see him every 6 months now, ever since my diagnosis. And I actually just went back yesterday. And I actually had a CGM on for about a 2 week trial. Um, to the shock of many, I'm not diabetic currently whatsoever. I actually still trend a normal low. So my average blood sugar throughout a day is a 71. However, at 2 to 4 a.m., I do plummet into the 50s and 60s, which is very scary as I am sleeping. So I don't really feel those lows. Um, so I also like to work out. That's another thing I didn't mention. I like to work out at 4 or 4:30 a.m. So obviously working out could trigger blood sugar issues. So I kind of try to drink like an amino energy drink to kind of bring my sugars up and stuff like that. During the day, I do start to feel, low, or sometimes people say hangry. I eat very frequently throughout the day, but they're small meals. I can't really eat a full big meal at once. And yeah. So, to stay healthy and everything, I do work out. I try about 5 days a week. I've always been a very active child. I did sports all throughout my life, luckily, and I never knew I had HI. I did have symptoms now that I got my diagnosis, and it makes so much sense why I was getting the cold sweats, why I would feel like I was getting blurry vision and stuff like that. So I kind of know how to treat it now and to help it. But I do consistently work out. I'm constantly walking. I'm constantly staying active. I'm always a healthy eater. Even as a baby, I always liked my fruits. I love my veggies. I would rather have that than chocolate. So I guess that's actually a very good thing for myself. So actually, I do want to mention, I don't even know if it's related to my HI journey, but health has never been in my favor per se. I actually had a lung surgery when I was 19 years old. They a spontaneous pneumothorax. So after that, it's very easy to kind of look at life negatively, but I never did that. So that kind of pushed me to be better at what I was doing and to never lose mindsight. So it kind of pushed me to work out harder and it pushed me to constantly stay active. So I feel like that is something that really did help me in my health journey, just in general. Putting HI aside, even like just keeping my health in check. Honestly, getting through pregnancy during COVID kind of alone. And just with my husband, who my husband actually had back surgery during when I was 32 weeks pregnant. So it was a very hard pregnancy. That getting through that with just myself and him and his back surgery and like my every appointment I went to by myself. And like I said, no one was able to really come see me. That felt like a huge victory. Um, and the when we were finally able to leave CHOP, after I think it was about 5 weeks, it's kind of like they describe in like, shows or movies when you have all those doctors like lining the hallways and they're your biggest cheerleaders. It was a very emotional time for my husband and I, and we felt like we had a victory. So we actually we cheered, we hugged each other, and we said we made it. And we held our baby girl, and we brought Callie Rose home. The fact that without family, friends, coworkers that become family, none of this would be possible. I still get emotional talking about it because I had such a great support system even in the midst of a pandemic. So whether it was, everyone at my school that was constantly cheering for me, and texting me, my family that was constantly doing things for me when they knew I couldn't. When my husband had back surgery, like, of course, Callie was born in the middle of winter, so there was so much snow last year. So even people just bringing boxes upstairs for us, um, the support system that we have had during this journey for Callie and myself has been unbelievable. My students last year made me actually a video the day of birth that about their wishes for Callie and myself and things like that. I still look back on and it gets me through the tough days. So going along the journey, especially the beginning, it feels so rocky and it's so hard, but it starts to become normal. And when you have that support system behind you, it really helps you see the finish line.